the Radha Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're going to continue reading from Sri Chaitanya, sorry, not Sri Chaitanya Caritamrta, Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading from Canto 3, chapter 24, and we'll read the text 9 today. Tat karma dashrama padam sarvas sarasvatya parishritam swayambhuhu sakam rishibhir marichi adibir abhyayat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Brahma, the firstborn living being, went along with Marichi and other sages to the place of Kardama's hermitage, which was surrounded by the river Saraswati. Brahma is called Swayambhu because he's not born of any material father and mother. He's the first living creature and is born from the lotus, which grows from the abdomen of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Therefore, he's called Swayambhu, self-born. So Brahmaji, we know he does not have any material mother, father, as we have. He's directly born from the lotus of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So that's why he's called self-born, Swayambhu. He's not self-born literally in that sense, but because he does not have any material mother and father. So, but everyone knows he's born from the lotus flower of Lord Vishnu. No? That's why he's always sitting on the lotus. Bhagavantam param brahma sattve nam shena shatruhan tattva sankhyana vignaptye jatam vidwan ajaha swarat. Maitreya continued, O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who's almost independent in acquiring knowledge, could understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his quality of pure existence had appeared in the womb of Devahuti just to explain the complete state of knowledge known as Sankhya Yoga. So Brahmaji, he understood that, oh, there is Krishna in one of his expansions is going to come. Amshena, plenary portion. Amshena. So a plenary portion is coming and he is going to speak the Sankhya philosophy. So Brahmaji is coming. In the Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, it is said that the Lord himself is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra and is the perfect knower of the Vedanta Sutra. Krishna says, no, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid apichaham. So that is in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, text 15. He's saying he himself is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra, and he says he's the knower, the perfect knower of the Vedanta Sutra because he's the original speaker of the Vedanta Sutra. Similarly, the Sankhya philosophy is compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his appearance as Kapila. There is an imitation Kapila who has a Sankhya philosophical system, but Kapila, the incarnation of God, is different from that Kapila. Kapila, the son of Kardama Muni, in his system of Sankhya philosophy, very explicitly explained not only the material world, but also the spiritual world. Brahma could understand this fact because he is Swarat, almost independent in receiving knowledge. He's called Swarat because he did not go to any school or college to learn, but learned everything from within. Because Brahma is the first living creature within this universe, he had no teacher. His teacher was, who was Brahma's teacher? He was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, who is seated in the heart of every living creature. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. That's the first aphorism of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam starts with that. Srila Vyasadeva is saying that the original speaker of the Vedas is Sri Krishna. He spoke the Vedic knowledge in the heart of Brahma. Tene Hridaya Brahma Adi Kavaye. And so that's how Brahma acquires perfect knowledge. Brahma acquired knowledge directly from the Supreme Lord within the heart. Therefore, he is sometimes called Swarat and Aja. So we are hearing the Vedic knowledge, yet we are not able to understand it. But Brahma, his consciousness is so clear that he's able to understand the Vedic knowledge. Krishna spoke to him in the heart, and Brahmaji is able to understand it, and that's the reason he's a very highly qualified person, That's the reason we are not Brahma and he's Brahma. Very, very qualified personality. He is born directly from the lotus of the Lord. The Lord is directly giving him the knowledge within his heart. So we can try to understand he's very highly qualified, but he's still a living entity. First, a living creature. He's still a living entity, not the Supreme Lord. So another important point is stated here, Sattvam Shena, Sattve-nam Shena. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, he brings with him all his paraphernalia of Vaikuntha. Therefore, his name, his form, his quality, his paraphernalia, and his entourage all belong to the transcendental world. So when the Supreme Lord appears, he does not come by himself, alone. You see, like when a president is traveling to another place, then with him is like all his secretary, his bodyguards, so many people who are going to do different things for him. He does not go alone. And then the place he stays is also like, even if he's in a foreign country, the place he stays, it is as good as the embassy. It is as good as America. If we are talking about the American president, well, any president we can speak of. So similarly, when Krishna comes, he comes with him. He brings his entourage. He brings his devotees with him from the spiritual world. They come with him. And then his name, form, paraphernalia, these are all spiritual, transcendental, not material. His quality, everything is transcendental. Real goodness is in the transcendental world. Here in the material world, the quality of goodness is not pure. So in the transcendental world, in the spiritual world, the goodness is Vishuddha Sattva. Vishuddha Sattva or Vasudev Sattva. It's pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. So goodness may exist here in the material world, but there must also be some tinges of passion and ignorance. In this material world, it's like that. Sometimes we are good, sometimes we'll be passionate, sometimes ignorant. It keeps changing. In the spiritual world, the unalloyed quality of goodness prevails. There, the quality of goodness is called Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. Another name for Shuddha Sattva is Vasudev, because God is born from Vasudev. So the Shuddha Sattva, Vasudev Sattva. Another meaning is that when one is purely situated in the qualities of goodness, he can understand that form, name, quality, paraphernalia, and entourage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the reason we are always encouraged to give up the qualities of passion and ignorance and rise to the mode of goodness, because at least when we are in the mode of goodness, then we can transcend the mode of goodness and we stay in the pure goodness. And when we are in the pure goodness, then we'll be able to understand God. Because right now we are inside the material body. Our experience is all with the body. Passion, ignorance, material goodness, everything we think is in terms of the body. We are not able to understand, oh, God is spiritual. He's transcendental. His name, form, quality, pastime is all absolute. It's on the spiritual platform. We are not able to understand why, because we are in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, material modes. So the word Amshena also indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna appeared as Kapila Dev in a portion of his portion, Amshena, portion of portion. God expands either as Kala or as Amsha. Amsha. Amsha means direct expansion, and Kala means expansion of the expansion. There is no difference between the expansion of the expansion, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, as there is no difference between one candle and another. But still, the candle from which the others are lit is called the original. So we have one candle and we light, say, 10 candles with this original candle. And then from these 10 candles, we pick up another and light another 100 candles. And so then all the candles are lit, but all the candles are same. All are giving same light and heat. But still there is one original candle. So there is no difference between the candles, but there is still one original candle.
Could you give us an example of the expansion and direct expansion and expansion of the expansion?
Yes, yes. So it doesn't matter if Krishna is expanded directly or there is another expansion from his expansion. They are all the same. It is himself. Their powers are the same. Everything is the same. Only they exhibit the powers which is necessary for that particular pastime.
हाँ, चंद्रमा है ना एक उदाहरण. चंद्रमा कला एक कला बढ़ती जाती है 15 दिन में. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Chandrama, I'm not sure. But this is like candle and you light so many candles. So there's no difference, no?
हाँ, कला बढ़ती है ना रोज. चंद्रमा न्यू मून के दिन छोटा रहता, फिर नेक्स्ट डे और थोड़ा बड़ा हो जाता, थर्ड डे और बड़ा होता. 15 days में कंप्लीट पूर्ण चंद्रमा पूर्णिमा के दिन हो जाता.
हाँ, तो चंद्रमा सेम ही है.
हाँ, जैसे कैंडल बढ़ती जाती है ना, तो कैंडल
ये कैंडल बढ़ने का वो नहीं बोल रहे हैं.
नहीं, एक से एक जलाना, एक से एक जलाना.
हाँ हाँ हाँ, ये वो एक. हाँ, तो इसीलिए भागवतम कहता है एते च अम्सा कला पुंसा कृष्णास्तु भगवान स्वयं, कि एक कृष्णा से इतने एक्सपेंशंस आए हैं. बलराम जी, नृसिंहदेव, मत्स्य, वराह देव, कपिला देव, लॉर्ड बुद्धा. There's so many expansions.
No, but like the expansion of the expansion, an example you could give us, like a deity, maybe like what, Hanuman?
Huh?
Like Hanuman?
Hanuman is a devotee.
No, devotee, right?
Yeah, Hanuman is not Vasudev. He's not Vishnu Tattva. No. Hanuman is not Vishnu Tattva. He's a devotee of the Lord.
The expansion, like what example?
So expansion or kala means expansion of the expansion. So for example, when Krishna expands as, so you know what, actually all of them are going to be in kalas.
It's
like that.
Kala, right?
Like, because Krishna will expand as Balaramji, then Balaramji is expanding as so many other incarnations. An expansion of an expansion. And then Amsha is direct expansion. So Krishna, when he's expanding himself for his gopis, when he's expanding himself for his wives in Dwarka, those are his direct expansions. So then Kala is also like the Purusha avatars, will be the Kalas. You know, Garbhadakshay, Vishnu, Mahavishnu.
Correct. So that is Kala, right?
Yeah. So there are no difference, but original is Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. So Krishna is therefore called the Para Brahman, or the ultimate Godhead and cause of all causes. Para Brahman. You know, we are all Brahman, right? We are all Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. Anando Maya Bhyasyat. We are all Brahman. We are not the body. We are not matter. We are Brahman. So who's the Para Brahman? That's Krishna. He's the cause of all causes. We do
Ishvara Parama Krishna.
Yeah, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Yeah. So then reading on 11. Sabhajayan Vishudhena Chetasatak Chikeshitam Praharshyamanir Asubihi Kardamam Chedam Abhyadat. After worshipping the Supreme Lord with gladdened senses and a pure heart for his intended activities as an incarnation, Brahma spoke as follows to Kardama and Devahuti. As explained in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, anyone who understands the transcendental activities, the appearance and the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered liberated. So how can we get liberated? We just try to understand the activities of the Supreme Lord, that and to understand that these activities, these pastimes, these leelas are not material, they are transcendental. Krishna says, no, janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha tyakva deham punarjanma neti mameti so Arjuna. Anyone who understands the transcendental nature of the activities, the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is liberated. Brahma is therefore a liberated soul. Although he is in charge of this material world, he is not exactly like the common living entity. So we are common living entities. We are in the material world. We are inside the body, inside the material body, but we are ordinary living entities, right? Brahmaji, he's also inside a material body. He's also a living entity, but he's liberated. He's a great personality. We cannot disregard his position. Respect should be given where it is due. So that's the reason he has that position. He's qualified for that position. Since he is liberated from the majority of the follies of the common living entities, he was in knowledge of the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he therefore worshipped the Lord's activities, and with a glad heart, he also praised Kardama Muni because the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Kapila had appeared as his son. So when a child is born, the relatives come, the well-wishers come. Here, the demigods are coming. Brahmaji is coming because he understands that this child is the Supreme Lord. He understands that. So he's, of course, congratulating Kardama Muni. And Brahmaji, because he is so qualified, his consciousness is so qualified, he understands this is the Supreme Lord, and he's going to speak of the Sankhya philosophy. One who can become the father of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly a great devotee. So whenever the Lord appears as an incarnation, his parents are great persons. Krishna is not going to come to ordinary people. It has to be qualified, right? Qualified. So then there is a verse spoken by a Brahmana in which he says that he does not know what the Vedas and what the Puranas are. But while others might be interested in the Vedas or Puranas, he's interested in Nanda Maharaj, who appeared as the father of Krishna. The Brahmana wanted to worship Nanda Maharaj because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as a child, crawled in the yard of his house. These are some of the good sentiments of devotees. So can we imagine the position of Nanda Maharaj? So this Brahmana is saying, I'm sorry, I don't understand the Vedas, I don't understand the Puranas, but I'm going to worship Nanda Maharaj. But the very fact that he is saying he's going to worship Nanda Maharaj means he has already understood all the Vedas and all the Puranas. Because Krishna says that one who is engaged in devotional service means he's understood the essence of all the Vedas. He's understood the Vedic knowledge, and that's the reason he's engaged in worshiping the Supreme Lord. So here, although the Brahmana, he's taking a humble position. It's out of humility. He's saying, oh, I'm sorry, I do not understand the Vedas and Puranas, but I know that Nanda Maharaj is my worshipable personality. I worship Nanda Maharaj. Why? Because he's the father of the Supreme Lord Krishna. That Krishna appeared in his house, and Krishna is playing in the yard of his house. So a great personality. So if a recognized devotee brings forth the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his son, how he should be praised. Therefore, Brahma not only worshipped the incarnation of Godhead Kapila, but also praised his so-called father, Kardama Muni. So when Like, for example, when Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago to Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. Jagannath Mishra, Sachi Devi, pure devotees. Sachi Devi is Yashodamai herself. So then they are worshipable. Worshipable. They are not ordinary living entities like us. No, they are not ordinary living entities. We are ordinary living entities. So then, any questions or comments? No, then we'll try to read this one. Brahmo vacha tvayame apichitistata kalpita nirvyalikataha yanme sanjagrehe vakyam bhavan manadamanayan. But Brahma said, my dear son Kardama, since you have, oh yes, Kardama is Brahma's son also, right? Since you have completely accepted my instructions without duplicity, showing them proper respect, you have worshipped me properly. Whatever instructions you took from me, you have carried out, and thereby you have honored me. Lord Brahma, as the first living entity within the universe, is supposed to be the spiritual master of everyone. And he is also the father, the creator of all beings. So if we do research work, father's father, father's father, where did I come from? We do the family tree, right? Some people have that. Let me find out where my ancestors. So if we do the research work really, 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 we will come to Brahmaji. We have to come to Brahmaji. Why? Because he's the first created being. It's from him that all the living entities are getting the bodies. Kardama Muni is one of the Prajapatis or creators of the living entities, and he is also a son of Brahma. Brahma praises Kardama because he carried out the orders of the spiritual master in toto and without cheating. So Brahma is happy that you followed my instructions with sincerity. You followed what I asked you to do with sincerity, and see now you're rewarded that the Supreme Lord is your son. A conditioned soul in the material world has the disqualification of cheating. So we are souls, but right now we are conditioned, right? That's the reason we are in the material world. What is our conditioning? We are conditioned by the three modes of material nature. We're conditioned to thinking I'm the body. And so we have the disqualification of what? Cheating. So any conditioned soul has 4 disqualifications. He's sure to commit mistakes. He's sure to be illusioned. He's prone to cheat others, and his senses are imperfect. So this is our disqualification because we are inside this material body. Although we are the soul is perfect, right? The soul, we are supposed to be perfect. We are supposed to be full of knowledge. We are supposed to be pure, not have this cheating propensity. And because we are supposed to be full of knowledge, we are not supposed to be an illusion, but we are conditioned. And that's the reason we have these 4 defects. But if one carries out the order of the spiritual master by disciplic succession or the parampara system, he overcomes the 4 defects. Therefore, knowledge received from the bona fide spiritual master is not cheating. Any other knowledge which is manufactured by the conditioned soul is cheating only. So we are defective. Means so whatever we are going to talk of, whatever we are going to think of, or I think, sometimes we think what my belief is the absolute truth. But we have to understand that we have these 4 disqualifications. But if we have heard the knowledge from the proper source, means we have heard the knowledge in the disciplic succession, then that knowledge is pure knowledge. That is not illusory knowledge. Why? Because it's coming in the disciplic succession. The knowledge is pure and it's being received in a pure manner. We just have to speak the pure knowledge. That's all. That's not cheating at all. It's not cheating. So when the knowledge is received from bona fide spiritual master, that knowledge is perfect knowledge. Any other knowledge is cheating. Brahma knew well that Kardama Muni exactly carried out the instructions received from him, and that he actually honored his spiritual master. To honor the spiritual master means to carry out his instructions word for word. So how do we show respect to the spiritual master? How do we show him honor and respect? By following his instructions. Following the instructions, and that shows the respect. So Kardama Muni is an example in this regard. So we'll stop here for today.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.